Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we have your Forbidden Door recap, your Money in the Bank predictions. Sting, what the hell are you thinking? And Carmelo Hayes has a good week. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
I wouldn't go too crazy about tooting the Carmelo Hayes horn. He did take the L on Raw. Like 8 minutes.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I am your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. American Bam Bam Gigolo. And sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Man, that's great. I did not see that one coming. That's good.
I didn't see it
That's
coming
good
either.
shit. That's you. I don't know where you do it. I don't know where you get it from. You. That's some good shit. On that we note, I'll ask your congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 314. Chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saying, hashtag boo the heels, it's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the Holy Trinity of PFR. It's the St. Louis edition of Banned from Ringside. Yeah, we're going to go
That works for me.
Yeah, we're going to call it like that. 314, obviously, the area code of St. Louis, if you didn't know. On that lovely note, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to my boy Ben. He's having surgery today. He should be out of surgery at this point. Heal up fast. Get back soon.
And out there in Washington State, we have 3 beer Zach Bowman.
Beer for listening house.
I thought you'd do it before the name. Sorry. What's going on, Zach?
Maybe 33 beer at this point. I'm literally in a massage chair right now in case my voice starts vibrating.
Oh, my God. That's so nice. And we also have Bo hanging out. What's going on, Vice?
How's everybody doing tonight? Glad to be here.
So we got a ton of stuff to get to tonight. It is balmy out here in St. Charles, Missouri. It is fucking balmy and humid. What's it like out there in Washington, Zach?
It is hot. It is 96 degrees, dry and sunny. But I'm right next to an enormous lake. So,
Nice.
I've got a pool. I got 2 hot tubs, 2 saunas, 2 massage chairs, 3 TVs, and 1 wrestling podcast and a partition player tree.
Looks like...
And he ain't a diva.
You're right. Sitting in his massage chair. So we got a ton of shit to talk about tonight. Zach is going to be with us. It's going to be a little bit different format this week. We're going to do predictions. We're not going to say predictions for the end because Zach has to go out on a yacht. He's on a boat, motherfucker. Don't you ever forget. Okay. So
gotta let him know.
Let's get right to that 3 counts.
Boats.
Boats and hoes.
JCB, what you got?
Let's jump back to Forbidden Door on Sunday night from Toronto. Just main card, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9-match card, highlighted by 2 major matches coming in. The rematch between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega for the IWGP US Championship, and then in the main event, which was a little bit of a surprise coming in, to me at least, but I think I got it coming in, but we'll talk about that as we go along. One, Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Let's jump to the top of the card with MJF versus Tanahashi first. MJF retaining the AEW World Heavyweight Championship over Tanahashi. I said it on PSP a couple of days ago, and I'll say it again here. Just for me personally, watching Tanahashi in the last couple of shows, being Collision and Forbidden Door, you can start to really see the decline of the ace happening. He wasn't necessarily hitting the ropes harder than he was, but when he gets to the top, it looks like there is some sort of trepidation happening there, not necessarily stable with his footing. It takes a few extra seconds to perform a move, whether it's hitting the high fly forward flow or landing on the knees or whatever the case may be. It's hard to watch someone that has been so great on the decline. Two Beer has said it on multiple occasions. I've kind of poo-pooed it off because It felt like when Tanahashi had to give that effort, had to deliver. Jon Moxley last year, everybody knew Moxley was going to win, but Chicago turned on Moxley, which I never thought would happen in the AEW title run at that point. Got behind Tanahashi. Even though he lost, he looked good in the match. I can't say he looked good in this match here. He was average, maybe to above average at best. It didn't feel like a great curtain jerker to open it up, even though you did have two of both companies' top guys in the curtain jerker. For me, it felt a little flat. I can't speak for anybody else.
Sorry, Zach, what you think?
Right. You're right about Tanahashi because I've given him the benefit of the doubt for the last few months because he kind of had some on again, off again, and I feel like he's almost kind of going to be permanently off again unless he gets some rest, and he's going into the G1, so I don't think he's getting some rest. So, he had the Ospreay match, which was good, but definitely not what those two are capable of. And it just seems even in the last couple months, he's been aging much more rapidly. His injuries catching up to him. It's mostly the knees. He's just, he can't move. He's slow, and he gets up to the top. He doesn't have that confidence, and it's tough. MJF was the perfect opponent for him. I thought this was a very fun curtain jerker because MJF works super safe, and they are like pure babyface versus pure heel. So this was still like a 4-star match for me, but bummer for MJF that he couldn't get the ace. He was just getting, a banged up Tanahashi.
You guys are some bummers, man. I thought this was fun. I thought that the most important thing was that Tanahashi had fun. We're all winners. Participation medals, please. Can we have a participation belt for Tanahashi? I just thought, I'm not sure that this would have been my curtain jerker, but it makes the most sense because, you don't want to put it in the middle. Why don't you have the crowd hot? You knew the crowd was going to be hot for MJF. Didn't overstay its welcome. I thought it was around a 4-star match, too. I'm not going to be giving out star ratings for all of the matches, but I had a lot of fun at this match. It was perfect for what it was.
For the record, I gave it 3.5. Next up, one of my favorite matches of the card, CM Punk versus Kojima in the Owen Hart tournament quarterfinal match. Collision on Saturday night was not nice to CM Punk, and Kevin Kelly had a really good line. We're not in Chicago anymore. That carried over onto Sunday in a major way. CM Punk, God bless him, leaned into whatever the crowd wanted to throw his way, good, bad, or indifferent. Obviously, you had Punk fans in the crowd, and the funny part about that was when they did try a CM Punk chant, they were quickly hushed by a round of boos that drowned them out. I thought that's going to be something to look forward to as we go along, especially as we get out of Canada and when you come back to the States. I think the States will have its own individual process of how they feel about CM Punk. Neither here nor there. I thought this match was good. Kojima accidentally elbowing CM Punk in the dick was something that I thought I saw at the time, and then later confirmed by Kojima himself on his Twitter handle. So if you need a good giggle, go to Kojima's Twitter handle. He'll check that out. He'll confirm that for you. But like I said, neither here nor there. I thought Kojima played the role well. Didn't have the best match I haven't seen in a while, but he did not fall the victim to Punk quickly like some might have thought. CM Punk goes over and he advances to the quarterfinals or the semifinals.
Two-Beer, what do you think?
Yeah, no surprise about Punk going over, and also no surprise about Kojima having a fantastic match with him. Kojima is fantastic for his age. Dude's like in his 50s. Super fun wrestler. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities anymore to do this kind of one-on-one big match stuff, and he really shown here. And hopefully, it's a pretty smart crowd already, but hopefully it gets people interested in some Kojima stuff because, up until pretty recently, solid member of the G1. And, it was fun. Punk was good. I think a lot of people were negative on the GTS, but like I'd much rather like him hit him in the guts than him concuss a 50-something-year-old Kojima. So yeah, it was good.
Couple things here. To call this a smart crowd, it might be an understatement. I mean, this better be the smartest fucking crowd in the world. I mean, if you're going to have these diehards, and they brought it. It was a great crowd. There seems to be some revisionist history going on right now because of the state of CM Punk, where he's not very liked right now. That's a shoot, and people are not into him, and people want to boo him, and it seems like a lot of people are trying to go back and say, not that they didn't always like him, but that he was never that great of a wrestler, that he was always really good on the mic, but he was never all that much of an in-ring guy, and that's just not true. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're finding yourself going back and saying that, you're just, maybe there's some people out there, friend of the show, fan of the show, Lowell Holiday, I know that he has hated him for 20 years, and he's been very consistent that as long as I've been speaking to him. So I'll buy whatever he says. But a lot of these other people that are getting on the internet or getting on, podcast or whatever and saying, well, CM Punk's never been that great in the ring. That's just not true. He can tell a story. He knows how to play to a crowd. He was perfect in this match. This match was fucking awesome. And I say that as a newly CM Punk hater. Like, I'm new to the game to hating CM Punk, but come on, that match was fucking awesome.
I'll double down on that. The Summer of Punk, when he had his 434-day run as WWE champion, I thought was great stuff. Anything with John Cena, I thought was great stuff. The only thing that I can say that I wish Punk could have had and probably should have had, if it wasn't for John Cena, he probably should have main event at WrestleMania. John Cena is basically the one reason. Him, Undertaker, because especially that point, you had Taker with the undefeated streak. That was gaining momentum. Triple H still around at that point. He probably should have main evented a WrestleMania at some point, but I would not sit up here and say that I never thought he was a great wrestler. I can sit back and honestly say some of my favorite matches had CM Punk in it when it comes to WWE, like it or not.
Yep.
Next up.
I mean, the majority of my time watching wrestling was not around CM Punk at all. Like, my time watching wrestling missed a lot of his career. He was awesome in this match character-wise. Like, he really played up the heel shit. So, I mean, good on him.
No, he's working the crowd. As I said, I'll be interested to see where this goes because I ain't forgot about what he brought to the bag to his return back to Chicago. At some point, we got to talk about that shit. Next up, for the international title, AEW international title, you have Shibata versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Daniel Garcia versus the defending champion, Orange Cassidy. If I'm not mistaken, then we were in a room full of people. Shout out to Jinder Mahal. Thanks for having us, per usual. Appreciate you, my brother. If Orange, I think this is the fact that, or the state where they were going with, if Orange Cassidy won, he would have tied Jade for the most consecutive successful title defenses. If that's the case, I'm pretty sure that is because I know they were pretty close. So something to think about walking into. I thought this match cooked. All four guys brought it, and it was like a 12-minute match, and it went real quick. Everybody was bouncing from shoulder to shoulder, post to post. Daniel Garcia, God bless him, his dancing I'm sorry, I love him, but it infuriates me just in a way that is irrational because he plays, and I said it that night at Tinder's house, he plays the sports entertainer role so well, so when he does start dancing, it works the way it's supposed to work with me, where it makes me mad. I want him to wrestle versus dancing his ass off. He's getting chopped by Shibata. He's still dancing. I'm like, all right, man, you can't just keep dancing. It just never fails. So I will give Daniel Garcia credit for that. Shibata and ZSJ had their little one-on-one. Shibata and Orange Cassidy had their little one-on-one. So like in 12 minutes, we had like 4 or 5 stories being told at once. Orange Cassidy, I won't say steals the win, but he took advantage of Shibata taking out Daniel Garcia with the PK, pushes Shibata out of the ring, and rolls up Daniel Garcia to retain the AEW International title. Orange Cassidy injuries catching up to him slowly but surely, the question still remains, who's the person to beat Orange Cassidy?
Zach, what'd you think?
I love this match. Total sprint. I can see why some might think that the beginning was like a little too cute because it was pretty choreographed, but I did not mind that personally. And I thought it was super fun, and the entire thing was so fun. Like I said, total sprint. Really played up the ZSJ versus Orange Cassidy and inserted Shibata in there a little bit, but really made me want to see ZSJ versus Cassidy for both belts or for one or the other. I think that would be a fantastic match. Really looking forward to that. Hope it happens.
Yeah, I echo everything that you guys say. It was great. I didn't even mind the beginning of it for being too cute because it was played more for comedy than anything else. It wasn't played, and I don't mind a little comedy in my wrestling, as I am, proud to admit usually. It's at this time that I'd like to bring up the standings for the predictions, because as you know, I have this notebook that's just keeping track of everything, so we got it all right here, baby. Coming into this particular
Forbidden Door.
Yes, it was Jason had 21, Bill had 19, Zach had 18. For Forbidden Door predictions, Jason pulling up the rear, 9 points.
Okada failed me for the last time.
Two Beer Zach Pullman comes in second with 9 points. And your winner for the Forbidden Door predictions is Bill Veggie, your host, with 9 points.
Huh?
Yeah, we all had 9 points.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm like 10, 11.
No, it was a three-way tie.
Wait, what?
I didn't do as bad as I thought I did.
Okay, I'm over here wincing this shit.
I was the only one that didn't have Orange Cassidy winning this match. I had Zack Sabre Jr. Both of you guys had Orange Cassidy. We didn't have to go through all the predictions, but we all did well. So the standings pretty much stay the same. Jason at 30, Bill at 28, and 3 Beer Zach at 27. What's next, Jason?
Next up, you had Jungle Boy versus Sonata for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. There was a lot of divisiveness about this match coming in. Should Jungle Boy be in this match? Does this make Sonata look bad for even being in this match? Plenty of people felt a lot of different ways about it. Myself, personally, I thought this was going to go two ways. A, it helps Sonata just to build his cachet of guys that he's, bodied along the way after beating Okada for the title. And B, probably more importantly for the AEW side of things, I thought this was going to be the next step for Jungle Boy to flip heel. Well, little did I know that the latter was going to happen right the fuck away. Sonata wins fairly unimpressively. This was about a 10, 11-minute match. I think it was like the 28th. I think Chris Sampson has said it on Twitter. I think this is the 28th shortest heavyweight title match of all time when it comes to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Take that for what it's worth. From that point, obviously, you had the post-match heel turn of Jungle Boy. I love the Taz reaction. It felt literally authentic, real. You watching your son get clotheslined and he curses on air live and he was like, oh shit. And he was getting ready to say, and he was going to say, what the fuck? And he caught himself, which is perfect because I thought that's a genuine reaction from a father watching his son getting blindsided by somebody he thought was friends with him. We'll talk about the Jungle Boy promo down the line.
Your son who's a minor getting beat up by an adult.
At that point, yeah, as a father, you kind of want to jump out of the commentary booth and go out there and handle some business. I like the fact that Taz at least reacted as such. From there, I didn't think the match was anything special. Sonata, in my opinion, looks just as good as he did coming in. He handled his business quickly. The Jungle Boy turn is what it is, and that's the reason why I think we even had this match to begin with. It had nothing to do with Sonata. It had everything to do with Jungle Boy and the post-match turn.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem with it. What'd you think of it, Zach?
Taz sold it really well. Stormed off to go talk to the president of the PTA and the school board, Tony Khan. And
You ain't shit.
it did kind of remind me of I think it was like Wrestle Kingdom 13, where all the matches were 10 minutes, right? Where they just had this loaded lineup, and it was really good match lineup, and then you watch the show and it's 5 hours long and all the matches are 10, 13 minutes. And that's kind of what this was. Super short, solid match, but, pretty classic, old school finish, backbreaker moonsault, boom, done. And then it was more about the post-show angle or the post-match angle, which was not anything to do with the IWGP title. So, yeah.
Yeah, I stand by my criticisms going into this match. I'm willing to admit when I was wrong. When I'm wrong, I don't think I was wrong here. I think that it's weird to use the IWGP title to get over a mid-card feud in another promotion. I understand it's an AEW pay-per-view, and I understand that Sonata, Zach had a really good point last week when he said that Sonata, this is kind of the story of his title reign thus far, is giving these guys chances that normally wouldn't have chances. That's fine. The fact that the title match for your NJPW champion has nothing to do with the NJPW champion or the title, that just seems kind of, dare I say, disrespectful. It just doesn't seem very Tony Khan-ish to me, and I do not like that face that you're making right now, Jason.
Okay. I mean, you don't pay me enough to make me, give me the face that I want to give you. I just, go ahead and finish.
That's it. That's all I have to say. The match was fine.
I'll just say this. I think as great as the Forbidden Door concept is, this is something, this post-match angle with Jungle Boy and Hook goes back to something I've always said about Tony Khan, and one of my biggest criticisms about Tony Khan when it comes to New Japan's, his relationship with New Japan, AEW and New Japan's relationship. It's about Tony Khan. It has little to do, if anything, with New Japan. New Japan is a partner in quotes only. And this kind of reinforces it. If you have a problem with it, then that's more so on the fact that Tony Khan has allowed himself to book the way he wants to book and book it in the scenario where, like you said, you have a problem with the ending because it disrespects the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
That's right.
That's on Tony Khan. Tony Khan didn't have to go this route. He chose to go this route, and he's done it multiple times in the past where he's let AEW look a little better in the expense of New Japan.
It's New Japan's champion, and New Japan, I'm sure they have some kind of say as to who the opponent is for Sonata. We don't have to relitigate this. Like I read that one week, Joey and I named 18 guys that makes more sense than Jungle Boy that Sonata still could have gone over, and it would have been more respectful, in my opinion, And
it comes from the guy that's calling the championship a Divas Championship, but now all of a sudden we're going to have to be respectful to the title.
I never said anything about being the Divas Championship. I've been on record as I do not give a fuck about how belts look. I have said that forever. Like that, you can't put that on me, sir. Do not put that on me, sir.
I said it looked like Cody Rhodes' neck tattoo had a baby with the Divas title.
Now that's funny.
But you want to play what thing's funny. This is disrespectful to Sonata, but making a joke about it is funny. I mean, which side are we gonna be on, bro?
Just a heads up. I think I just saw a tick, so make sure you check your balls when you get home. What was next? I seriously think I just flicked a tick off of this computer.
That's the best segue in the history of this podcast.
Jesus Christ.
I'm being serious. I think I just saw a tick. You don't know how to respond to that, do you? I'm looking out.
You freaked out a little bit.
Never mind. About to say, I look out and I'm like the ignorant motherfucker when I'm like, hey, don't drown, when you go out in the ocean tonight. But, neither here nor there. Next up, you had BCC versus the Bucks, Adam Page, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii. Interesting segue. Well, interesting a couple of points. First and foremost, when you had Kingston and Moxley chopping each other while all kinds of chaos was going around them. Guys were flying in and out of the ring. You still had Eddie and Jon Moxley chopping away at each other like they were the only two people in the world. I like that, and it probably sets up what happens later on in the match where Eddie Kingston pushes Jon Moxley out of the way of a Young Bucks super kick, eats the super kick on his own. So now you have immediate problems in the match where now Eddie Kingston is helping Jon Moxley when he shouldn't be helping Jon Moxley, even though he hates the Bucks and hates everybody, but, well, I shouldn't say he hates everybody. He hates cardio. He gets along with everybody else, kind of. But now all of a sudden he's pushing Moxley out of the way to eat the super kick. Nonetheless, the Bucks and, Hangman Page, the baby faces win. MVP of this match was Takeshita, hands down. I was kind of warming up to him as we've gotten along, as he's been in AEW. I've seen a couple of matches, him in DDT. This is the best I've seen him look in AEW, period. He has a physical presence. When he smoked Tomohiro Ishii with that forearm, one shot, and Ishii went down, I jumped up, was like, what the fuck just happened? Because you don't see Tomohiro Ishii just get smoked by one forearm and go down. More times than not, he has you in the corner, and you're just, you're trying to punch your way out, and you can't punch your way out of it. This was the one time where I saw him drop like a bad habit, and I was like, oh, okay, so Takeshita's that real deal. So Takeshita, to me, was the hands down MVP of this match. I thought this was a really good match. I wish it could have went a little longer, but we had things to come behind it. I can't say anything more about Takeshita. Actually, I'll say one more thing. The fact that the whole room erupted when Wheeler Yuta ate the pin says a lot about us, or it says a lot about you, because we are rooting for your joy, your pleasure. When Wheeler Yuta eats the pin, we all get joy.
What you think, Zach?
Just super fun match. I mean, I loved, like Jason said, the spot with Moxley and Kingston in the middle, just trading chops while chaos erupted behind them. Like, Matt Jackson's doing a tope con hero, Nick Jackson's doing the goddamn jump from middle rope to top rope to the outside. It was just super fun. Maybe the best 5-on-5 match I've ever seen. I was trying to figure that out, and I just
Anarchy in the arena?
5-on-5 matches.
Yeah.
And okay, so that was the other thing, was like, that wasn't Anarchy in the arena, right? That was just like in the ring.
Right.
So those are kind of like on their own.
Right.
You just don't see that many of them, so that's why I was wondering, is it the best? Because I don't normally see that many of them.
I agree with everything you guys said. Takeshita ruled. I'll give a special dispensation, a special runner-up to Ishii. I can't believe they gave him that much offense. He is, he's a favorite of the three of us, and it's
Favorite of Toronto, it seems too.
Yeah, that's well documented.
Converted Steve Patterson by the end of the match.
He sure did. Yeah, Steve Patterson was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, but it's like, man, that's what New Japan gives you. I mean, you watch the G1, you get to watch that motherfucker wrestle 10 matches in a very short period of time, and they're pretty much all just like that. He was mega fun. I was very surprised that he was featured the way that he was featured. I thought this match was so well put together. I haven't thought about my favorite 5-on-5 matches of all time. There's been a few Survivor Series matches with KO, and there was that one where Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton ended up being the sole two survivors. But that's kind of like apples and oranges. I mean, we're talking about the Elite and Jon Moxley and fucking Ishii
different
and
rules
shit.
too.
Yeah, it's different rules. So I mean, and we're talking about, pardon the pun, we're talking about elite wrestlers, So this was really cool. Yeah, not that much more to say about it. I was really surprised with how much Ishii was featured.
I'm not that
tell
surprised.
how much all those dudes just love Ishii. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they all know. Like, everybody in that match knows that day in, day out, like, Tomohiro Ishii is one of the greatest wrestlers to ever step foot in the ring. That dude never gives anything less than a 4-star match, ever.
Yeah, I don't want to get too insider here, at the risk of alienating Eddie Kingston, but I would bet that he is he's a wrestler's wrestler. I bet everybody loves him.
Okay, now see, you were being cool until you said some shit like that. Here you go. Pulling Superman's cape. Next up, you had champion versus champion, but only one champion putting up her title. That was Toni Storm putting up the AEW Women's Championship versus Will Nightingale, the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. I'll nerd out for 30 seconds. For those who watch Stardom like I do, Julia challenged Will Nightingale after the cage match, the Arm of Stardom title match. She challenged Will Nightingale, so that's kind of a big deal for those who do watch Stardom, who keep up with Stardom. For those who don't, you'll just have to come out and watch Will Nightingale versus Julia. I believe that's July 5th for the New Japan Women's Strong Championship. You can judge for yourself. Back to the match itself, I thought this is one of the better matches of Toni Storm's run as champion. It feels like there's been a lot of just awkward moments when it comes to her title matches. It felt like Willow was one of the few people that can match physicality with Toni, so Toni could do whatever the hell she wanted to. Willow could throw to Toni around too. So this, what I thought was going to be one of the down points in the night, actually turned out to be a nice little segue to the next match. Toni Storm goes over and retains. I don't think it hurts Willow Nightingale, but as I start to kind of forecast what could be happening, might lose to Julia, might not win the Owen Hart tournament, and now it still feels like the momentum she kind of inherited, for lack of a better term, is going to get possibly taken away from her. So I'm a little worried for Willow, especially under TK booking, but I thought this was actually a better match than I anticipated.
Zach, what'd you think?
I was pleasantly surprised at this match too, and Julia challenging her for that New Japan Strong title seems like a total course correction, where Willow wasn't supposed to have this title, let's put it on Julia. Julia is, their biggest star. She feels like a star. She is a star. She's a fantastic wrestler. Julia is also not long for America. I feel like she will be transitioning into a more international role, because I feel like she just hungers for more. Like, I don't think Stardom, even though it's the best women's promotion in the world, I don't think Stardom can contain the presence that is Julia. I see her broadening her horizon.
She's already said that she wants to come to American wrestling.
The sheer magnitude of Julia.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Unironically. But, yeah. This was, speaking of this match, though, it was something that after that 10-man, I was like, okay, like I can kind of sit back and be on my phone for a second and look at, Facebook and post some shit. Because I get on Facebook every 3 months whenever AEW has a pay-per-view, and this match reeled me back in. It was good.
Yeah, that's the biggest compliment you can pay to this match, was that it came after a super high-energy 5-on-5 match that the crowd was eating everything up, every single sequence the crowd was into. Just a completely nonstop 5-on-5. The crowd also knew that it had the two main events coming up, and one of them was coming after this. I don't know if the crowd knew whether it was Ospreay and Omega or Okada Danielson, but they knew something was coming. So this is the definition of a popcorn match, and these two women managed to pull that crowd back in. The crowd was into this match by the second half of the match, and that is a huge compliment to those two wrestlers. It also pulled me in. I was into it. That's also a compliment to the pay-per-view, I suppose, and compliment to the company that I was in. But it was a very fun match, and good for them. The right person went over. Doesn't hurt Willow Nightingale at all. In fact, it probably elevates her a little bit, because as smart as that crowd is, not everybody watching that pay-per-view even knew that the New Japan Strong women's title was even a thing. So, mission accomplished. Nice job.
Next up, you had the rematch for the IWGP U.S. Heavyweight Championship. One, Will Ospreay versus the defending champion, Kenneth Omega. 39 minutes and 40 seconds later, I still say, and I'll keep this going until we do the Beefers in 24. This was now taking over as my new match of the year, superseding the original match. I thought this was going to be very similar to the first match, very short-ish, more like the 20-25-minute match where the roles would be reversed and you would see Will Ospreay do all the things that Kenny Omega did to him in the first match. But then it took a little weird turn to where Kenny started to come back, and then all of a sudden, Kenny just didn't want to die. Dropped on his head. You know, here's Hidden Blades. Here's a One-Wing Angel. You know, a Kamigoye. You know, all kinds of callbacks from Will Ospreay's bag of tricks, and seemingly nothing would help. Don Callis came back, and that didn't help. The screwdriver didn't help. It got to the point where literally I had to walk around in the room, was like, how the fuck is this going to end? Because it didn't seem like it was going to end anytime soon conventionally. But fortunately for all of us that had to work the next morning, Kenny Omega finally went down to the Hidden Blade. 40 seconds later, Will Ospreay is the new U.S. Heavyweight Champion. Like I said, I thought this was an amazing match. It was the match of the night. It's the match of the year as far as I'm concerned. I hope they don't even do it at Wembley, to be perfectly honest. I'll be like that. I want this to kind of marinate a little bit before we do it again. If they go the rest of the year without even doing it, I'm okay with that too. If they do it at Wembley, of course, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be excited for it. But I honestly think with the G1 coming up, at least on the Will Ospreay side of things, I think the timing might be a little off. I think it should be more a time where both guys kind of go their separate ways. Let's meet up at Wrestle Kingdom. Sounds like a great place, great time to do it. We can run it back for the tiebreaker.
Zach, what'd you think?
Spoiler alert, this is also my match of the year for the Beefers. Absolutely phenomenal. I jumped out of my seat multiple times while I was watching this. A couple examples. The false finish was probably the most effective false finish I've ever seen in my entire life.
You talk about the foot on the rope?
The foot on the rope.
Yeah.
Just absolutely brilliant. And the execution required for something that delicate is just over the top insane. You had what seemed to be a screw job finish with the actual screwdriver, and then the One-Winged Angel, and he kicked out at one. And they, right before him, they're like, nobody kicks out of the One-Winged Angel, and he kicks out at one. I was sitting on my bed, and I have a queen-size bed, and so I'm sitting on my bed with my legs fully out, just sitting up against my headboard. And I feel like my whole body was off of the bed after he kicked out at one. I pushed off with my hands, and my body convulsed, and it was so transcendent. And I was just losing my mind so many times in this, and just so many little things. There was, like Jason said, the callbacks, and it was on the anniversary of Ali and Inoki, and they even had some callbacks to that. You're familiar with that match, where Inoki just stayed on the ground the entire time and just kicked Ali in the shins the whole time, and everybody thought that was just the worst fight ever for two legends. But Kenny was trying to get Will to do that stuff, and it was just transcendent. These guys gave us so much blood. Oh my God, the blood! This was one of the bloodiest matches I've ever seen.
Whoa, man! Will Ospreay was dumping blood. I mean, just dumping it. Good Lord!
I can't speak highly enough about this match. I think that there's layers that I haven't even approached recognizing, because I only got to watch it one time, and I can't wait to watch it over and over again.
I watched it a second time tonight while I was cooking dinner and cleaning the kitchen. I set the iPad up on the counter, and I had my earbud in, so it wasn't bothering anybody else. And so I so I knew when to like look at the iPad when I wasn't chopping onions or fucking washing dishes or whatever. I can't believe how good it was. For our wrestling buddy Jason Case, who I never see anywhere except for at Joey's house for wrestling stuff. But I mean, he's my wrestling buddy, and after the match, Jason and I were high. We are high off the match, maybe high off some other things too, but we're high off the match. And
I walked right out.
Yeah, we go out
and have a cigarette.
We go out on the
Jesus
balcony
Christ.
to smoke, and Jason Case came outside, which he's never done that I can remember, and he said, I've watched a lot of wrestling with you guys. He goes, but that was something. And it got me thinking, was that the best match that I've ever watched with Jason Bell live? Probably. Was it the best match that I've ever watched with Joey O'Farrell live? Probably.
It ranks.
But, Vice was there. Best match I've ever watched with Vice live? Probably. I don't know what else it would be. All those Omega Okada matches I never watched live. I watched them later. I watched Omega Ospreay 1 this year at Wrestle Kingdom. I watched it by myself,
right.
But like watching it live, I think that was the best match I ever watched with people. And that's not me trying to one up you guys saying it was match of the year. It's match of the year so far. It's just like Zach said, but the one-winged angel kicking out at 1, I knew it was coming. I almost chopped my finger off chopping up vegetables when he did it again tonight when I was watching it on the iPad. I was like, holy shit, because the crowd was like, oh, okay, so this is how it's going to end.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And this is how smart it was. And I don't care about kayfabe here or anything. I care about how smart it is to the audience, because nobody kicks out of the one-winged angel. It came after the screwdriver spot. It would make sense that Will Ospreay would win with a one-winged angel on Kenny Omega in this huge match that everybody's. It was after
in this moment,
right?
This snippet, it would totally make sense, and then the match would have ended.
It was also
okay.
after the 30-minute mark. It was like a couple minutes because Kevin Kelly goes, "That's the 30-minute mark," And I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "I can't believe I've been chopping vegetables this long," but I was also like, "Wow, I can't believe there's still all this stuff to go in the last 8 minutes." The last 8 minutes of that match are as good as anything you'll ever see in terms of, they always talk about that New Japan finish, how it's all reversals and shit like that. This was more than that, and I know that the one criticism that people have is that Don Callis was sent away from ringside, and then he came back, and there were no repercussions. Kevin Kelly does a good job. He's like, it would be a disservice to the match if the referee were to call this a DQ here or something like this. You gotta let him finish it in the ring, And the ref didn't see, this isn't kayfabe, but the ref didn't see the screwdriver. But Kenny Omega, because it would have made so much sense for him to lose to that one-winged angel and then to kick out at 1. I mean, come on. I already have it listed as my mark-out moment of the year.
Also, was like, what?
I mean, the room absolutely exploded. I've never seen.
Grown men are losing their damn minds.
It was
jumping around.
This is
pacing.
It's not hyperbole to say that. Like I said, I think it's the best match I've seen in a long, 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 long time, and a lot of things conspired to make that true. But goddamn, the other thing I'll say, sorry, I know I'm being a little long-winded here. Will Ospreay made himself a lot of fucking money with that match, because that match, if you had never watched a Wrestle Kingdom and you're an AEW fan and you decide to shell out the money because they've been making such a big deal out of it, all of a sudden you're like, man, this Will Ospreay guy, what the fuck? He's licking blood when they're yelling at him, you sick fuck. He looks right at the hard camera and he goes, that's right. He wipes his ass with a Canadian flag. He's picking his nose with the flag. I mean, truly.
That was totally callback to Shawn Michaels.
Hey,
right.
man.
Yes.
Michaels in the same spot. He even did a sharpshooter into a crippler crossface.
Okay.
Yeah,
no fucks given. God, I love that dude.
Unbelievable. And you know what, Jason? I like what you said. I like the idea of it marinating. I guess I never even considered that they wouldn't do it at Wembley, but selfishly, I was like, man, I hope they do it at Wembley because I think it would be fun at the Beavers next year to have our top 3 matches of the year all be Omega Ospreay.
Sorry, guys, who's playing for 4th?
I'm telling you though, like in terms of when you're playing to that crowd, I can't get over how smart the kick out at 1 on the One Winged Angel was. I can't get over how smart that was and how we say sometimes that like wrestling is best when it's what you want but not what you expect. That was the definition of it. And that crowd, the crowd was deflated at the end of that. The crowd was like, okay, he's going to win with some Don Callis bullshit and the One Winged Angel. That makes sense. That's the wrestling that we understand. And then for him to kick out at 1, fucking just chef's kiss. Unbelievable.
And then go for another 10 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
Unbelievable stuff. Truly unbelievable.
No, I can't say anything more. And like I said, Wrestle Kingdom, that's to me, it makes the most sense. If it doesn't happen for a while, it doesn't happen. But right now, I just match of the year, hands down.
Yeah.
Next up,
I hope it's not. I hope we get something better.
If we get something better than that, I might not make it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. What did Meltzer give it? Do we know?
I don't think the newsletter's out. I'm on vacation, but it usually comes out like Thursday night, Friday morning.
They don't deliver it to your log cabin in the middle of Washington, Ted Kaczynski?
No, not anymore.
Jason, what was next?
Bill made a joke about me needing a towel for this next match coming out, and I think we did need the towel, but we needed the towel to put over the TV because this was unfortunately the low part of the night, and it had my boy involved in it. You had Jericho, Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Naito in a 6-man tag. I thought everything was okay until Sting got crunched by Sammy Guevara in that 6:30. Bill's sitting next to me on my right-hand side, and he's like, there's no way Sting's taking this bump. I'm like, no, hell no. He ain't taking this. Sammy's going to, jump off, do this 6:30, just come through the table. Sorry, not sorry, Sammy. You're going to be the crash test dummy. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and and to this day, I still think that Sting was a little more hurt than we all kind of know. One spot that really stuck out was where I believe Jericho had Naito pinned and Sting was in the corner. Or if you're looking at the TV, he's on the lower left-hand side, and he walks past the pin to go back to his corner. All kinds of chaos has happened up to this point, but now we're going to be like, oh, let's stick to the rules. Let's not kick Jericho on the way back to the corner. We're going to walk to the corner, let the referee escort us back, and let the referee come back and get the pin. It felt like it got real wonky, real quick, right at that spot. It wasn't even really, I would say it was a good match to begin with until Sting got crunched. It was okay. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, we came away from that barn burner match and people were still trying to, collect themselves. But then you came back with this clunker, and I'm sorry, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to use this. It was a clunker of a match. It just felt like the chemistry was off. I'm a firm believer that Sting was hurt in some capacity, whether, I'm right or wrong, neither here nor there. This was the low part of the night, and I'm sad to have my boy a part of it.
Zach?
Yeah, it started bad whenever Sting got hit off the top from Sammy. He had Jericho in the Scorpion Deathlock, and then Sammy went to do the cutter, and he got hit in the head. And then it got worse whenever he was supposed to just move off the table. He had to be, and he was just too slow. And he got rocked by that 6:30, because pretty much right after that, it looked like he was supposed to be in the ring to break up a pin and make a comeback, and it's you're not making a comeback after you take a spot from the top rope. And Sammy is definitely crazy enough to do a 6:30 off the top through a table with nobody there. We've seen him do it before, so I just think he was too slow moving out of the way and just got crunched. And it was rough going, and the crowd was also very, very dead because they just saw the greatest match that if there's 40,000 people in that arena, 39,800 of them just saw the best match they've ever seen in their life live.
You say this 1% gets away.
Yeah, I don't want to pile on too bad. It's with that and with the Dynamite spot off the ladder with Sting, it's getting, I know Zach didn't see it, but Sting attempted a jump from the ladder that was in the ring, outside of the ring, onto Sammy Guevara laying over 2 tables. It was too far. He didn't make it, and it looked like his mouth hit Sammy Guevara's knee really bad.
Busted his lip.
I mean, they might be building towards this Jericho Sting thing. It's bordering kind of sad. Like, he was doing so good. It's like, why is he trying to do more than he could do? He was doing so good.
In his defense, what happened at Forbidden Door wasn't his fault.
Well, the ending when he was crawling on the inside of the ring instead of the outside of the ring to the end of the corners, the pin was made was his fault. But
that's why I'm saying I think he was hurt more than we all realized.
Okay, that's completely understandable. Then I would suggest, if you're hurt more than we realize, that you not try a spot that you've never done before a couple days later in Hamilton, Ontario, as a 64-year-old.
There is no excuse for that, okay?
I was willing to give him the benefit. Listen, I ain't giving him the benefit of the doubt. I've come around. I have come around. I've been hard on him in the past. Obviously, he's had a great career. Obviously, he's made an impact on so many people's lives. Let's not be Willie Mays on the Mets, fucking missing fly balls in center field at the end of your career. Okay, buddy? Just, go out. Do a couple woos.
Okay, this was him missing the fly ball in center field, with him jumping off of the ladder on Wednesday night. Most people can't even do that.
No, the Sunday night was him in center field for the Mets. Wednesday night was him when Roberto Clemente's plane went down and he died. He died in the Caribbean.
Holy shit!
And we're sticking with the baseball metaphors.
Holy shit!
You ain't shit.
That was Thurman Munson, dude.
You ain't shit, dog. That's horrible. But I'll just say
Who's the other pitcher that died in the play? Oh, Halladay. That's Roy Halladay, dude.
Oh, jeez Louise. I'll just say this. The spot on Wednesday night, I mean, most people would have a hard time. Sammy would have a hard time doing it. Darby would have a hard time doing it. Guys that we would know, that Phoenix, Commander, Vikingo, they would all have a hard time doing it from that length, off of a ladder.
I honestly thought that Darby was going to push the ladder
forward.
Because Darby was standing back there, and I honestly thought that that's what they were going to do. I was like, oh, well, that still looks cool, but it's much easier for Sting to be able to do it.
Right.
No,
if
motherfucker
he was going
to
do that, he needed to come off the top so he could have as much angle and the whole nine and then splash it. And as soon as he jumped, I was like, oh, no. You could see him starting to fall ashore. I was like, oh, no.
He's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it.
I didn't think he was going to hit a table at a point because he was starting to fall real short. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, no. And when he hit, I was just like, is he okay?
It was still
referee came up real quick. I was like, ugh.
I'll give him this. He still broke one table, so it's better than Goldberg versus Taker in Saudi Arabia. All right. So, what was the main event?
Obviously, we're down to one. The main event, Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Danielson coming out surprised with the entrance music of the Final Countdown, going back to his ROH days. Even apparently Bryan Danielson didn't even know that was going to be a thing until he came out. Tony Khan did the one-shot deal. God bless Tony Khan. Deep pockets makes a great memory. So in that scenario, that was a great way to kick off Bryan Danielson's entrance. Obviously, Okada is the Rainmaker. For those who haven't seen his entrance, just seen it on TV, it has its own presence for itself. That being said, I thought the match started off a little slow, but as soon as it felt like about the 10, 15-minute mark, it started to pick up. Little did we know, about 10 minutes before let's just say 20 minutes into the match, Bryan Danielson broke his forearm. It did kind of creep up at points towards the end where he couldn't put the bell lock on. Even commentary did a really good job kind of pointing out the fact that Danielson's arm was kind of being protected, or I wouldn't say dangling, but he was protecting it at certain points. The two things coming out of this match that I thought was very, very interesting. Obviously, the finish where Danielson taps out Okada, which was another mark-out moment, maybe not as nearly as hot as watching Kenny Omega kicking out of the One-Wing Angel, but nonetheless very shocking to say the least, especially when you've seen seeing a one-arm Bryan Danielson tapping out arguably one of the best in the business. This was the second time that Kazuchika Okada has tapped out, the first time being in the G1 2015 versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Second fun fact is the kick out of the Rainmaker. Danielson is one of 6 guys to ever kick out of the Rainmaker. I can't name all 6, but there are big names, obviously. Naito, I think Ibushi, Omega, Jay White, Danielson. So in this scenario, Bryan Danielson has entered his name in a list of all-time greats. I thought this match was really, really good. I thought it would be the match of the night coming in, and obviously you had Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay kind of steal that mantle. I thought this was still really good. It still told a good story. Commentary giving a explanation on why Okada taps with the G1 looming ahead. It's best to worry about the G1 versus going into the G1 with a banged up arm, leg, whatever the case may be. This for me personally, it just adds to Bryan Danielson's legacy to win this match by submission with one arm. A lot of that is kayfabe. The one arm, broken arm portion of it, that's real deal. And that's some man shit, baby. That's some shit that I would never be able to do and couldn't even imagine to fathom to do. And the fact that he did that and still put up, I said a 4.5-star match, I thought that was kudos to him. Okada's fine. Losing is not going to be a big deal. This can be ran back at the G1 when both guys are, or not G1, at Wrestle Kingdom when both guys are healthy. So we're going to see this again. This is probably going to be another one of those matches that we're going to see 3 matches out of it, at least 2. So first round goes to Bryan Danielson. No problem with that. I love the fact that he overcomes his own injury to beat the Rainmaker.
Zach, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was definitely marred by the injury. He broke his arm. He did that weird Caesar spot, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And
not a fan of that.
Yeah, and I obviously it probably wasn't initially built into the match. It was just him working to communicate the broken arm, maybe. I don't know. But then, the doctor's in there, and then, the doctor and the ref are looking at Danielson, and Okada's like, hey, guys, it's okay. And he just grabs him and starts wailing on him, and they're just like,
game on.
All right. I'm like, this is weird. So, the match was, really good up until that point, and then you realize, his arm's fucked up, and he can't do the lapel lock, he can't do a lot, and it was just marred by the injury. Now, it was super fun to watch him overcome that, to still manage to creatively tap out one of the best wrestlers in the world by just using his legs to make that happen. Super fun. But at the same time, I am anxious to see what these guys can actually do in a match where one guy didn't have a broken arm for the last 10 minutes of it. So you can't, I have a hard time kind of judging this match or rating it or anything like that just because of that. But it was on pace to be an excellent match. It just didn't quite ever get to third gear.
So, a few weeks ago, I was telling you guys I am tempering my excitement because anything but a match of the year is going to be a disappointment. You're like, well, what could happen? It's like, well, somebody could get hurt beforehand, or, somebody's visa can get messed up or something. What I didn't mention was somebody could break their arm in the middle of the match, and they don't actually get to have the match that they wanted to, because all anybody's talking about coming out of this pay-per-view is Omega Ospreay. I mean, with good reason, but this was the match that I was looking forward to the most. And I gotta say, it was strange and it was disappointing. And I think anybody that's saying it's not disappointing is kind of lying to themselves, because they don't want to say it was disappointing. Another match that I watched again. Those were the only 2 matches that I went back and rewatched today. The problem is that Okada matches always start out slow. I mean, it is a slow build to an Okada match. And then at the end, it's just a freak out of epic proportions, reversal after reversal, Rainmaker, Okada wins. He's the best in the world, right? If you're going to have to go on the fly and you're going to have an Okada match where the beginning of the match is super, super, super slow and somebody's going to get hurt in the middle of the match, you're never going to be able to pick it back up. So the match was okay. It was just okay. I'm sorry. I hate to be a hater here, but if it wasn't what anybody expected, and it was not as good as what everybody expected, myself included.
No, that's just the fact. It just was. It was just an unfortunate circumstance.
Yep. So that's why I don't want to get excited about stuff. And when you guys try to talk it into me, that's actually you guys. Try
Oh, no, I won't ever do it again.
Yeah,
Don't you worry about it.
Thank you.
Don't you worry about it.
Because that is actually.
Don't you worry about it. Never again.
You trying to talk me into
like-
getting excited about something?
No. Just sit over there and be cool.
It's actually violent.
I'll never do it again.
It's like
My bad.
whenever I say something to my wife and I'm like, hey, you know, like mess around later, and she's like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like tonight, and I'm like, oh yeah, tonight. Like it's still 50-50, right? Like you can't like fully expect this happening like tonight because like then they say something like, oh, you know, whatever, like just whatever. You just gotta like lower the expectations. Yeah, but like I ate like, you know, that fish and it was after 9 p.m. and now I just can't do it.
At that point, I really can't blame her, man. You can't be eating fish after 9 p.m. on a weekday.
Yeah, and then I'm like, why did you do that? You said we were going to do this and then you did that. And that's the equivalent of a broken arm.
I am looking forward to them fighting again. Also, it was surprising that Daniel Bryan won. That's also surprising. So, anything else you want to say about the pay-per-view? Any final thoughts before we give it a letter grade?
For me, it met all expectations, regardless of what anybody says. I was hyped coming forward. To me, I did not leave disappointed, upset. It checked the boxes. It made me look forward to next year's version of Forbidden Door, wherever that may be. So, yeah, I had no problem with it. I was very, 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 very entertained from start to finish, and that's a good thing.
You want to give it a letter grade?
A-.
Zach, do you want to give it a letter grade?
I'm going to give it an A, and I might have been able to give it higher than that if not for the Danielson injury, but that's where I'm at.
The rest of the card could have been WWE in Your House 2005. And as long as you have that Ospreay Omega match, that motherfucker's an A. That's an A, bro. Cyber Tuesday or whatever they used to have. Where you get to vote on the internet.
Yeah, right, motherfucker. You know how this works. Go ahead, make the match. You know you going to make the match, right?
All right, let's get to that 2 count.
That's funny shit. You said Cyber Tuesday.
Wasn't that what it's called?
Pretty sure it was. The fact that I'm even like, yeah, I kind of remember that. That's some sad shit.
So the 2 count is going to be predictions because Zach isn't long for the pod. So like we said, Jason's in the lead with 30 points. Bill's got 28.
You said not long for the pod. We've been going an hour, but you're right.
Oh.
No. We get you on up out here. We can't have your diva ass, talking to us too much longer.
But wait a minute, it's 7:22 there, right?
Yep.
You guys are going to go out after 8 o'clock? What kind of party are you at? I didn't ask. There's 16 people? Are there keys involved?
It doesn't get, yeah, we're right on the lake, and it doesn't get dark until like 10, after 10.
What kind of party are you with, though? Like, is this like an ice storm situation?
Bring your pineapple.
No, it's with my wife's parents and her siblings.
Okay.
All right.
But I was like, you guys are going to go out after 8 o'clock. You guys are party animals. That's cool. Okay, so time to get some predictions. This is for Money in the Bank in England. It starts at 2 p.m.
Fucker.
My wife goes to wife goes to work at 3:30. I am home with the baby, and I love a midday pay-per-view.
Fuck.
All right, so Money in the Bank.
Afternoon delight, I like to call it.
Ooh, that's clever.
I'll say something. Can we not push that back to like noon where it works for everybody? God damn.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, talk to your people.
So this is a pretty good pay-per-view on paper, man. I mean,
No, there's a lot of intrigue to go there.
there's
sure.
there's not a match I'm not interested in. But I'll start with the match that I'm least interested in.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the women's tag team titles.
No.
Jason, who you got?
You took a shot in the face. You look like Jimmy Walker. Oh yeah, that'll do it. I'm taking the champs.
Jason's taking Rousey and Baszler. I am taking Rousey and Baszler also. Who you got, Zach?
Yeah, that's them.
Sorry, you know what? This is
Absolute fucking bullshit. Unprofessional bullshit.
that I'm just chewing on sunflower seeds this entire time. Just completely gross and very unprofessional. All right, so coming up next for the Intercontinental Championship.
If he wouldn't have said anything, nobody would have known, right?
I know.
Except us.
Okay. All right.
I know.
Okay. All right.
For the Intercontinental Championship, we have
Captain America over here, hey guys.
Stop cussing. Don't grab the tights. Don't grab the tights.
Language.
even I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
I know you don't.
Gunther versus Riddle for the IC belt. Zach, who you got?
Give me Gunther.
Yeah, I'm taking Gunther too. I am taking Gunther until Gunther loses. I will lose a point when Gunther loses because I am not voting for anybody else.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be very hard to. Now we're getting to the point where, who does Gunther lose to?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, yeah, because that's what Roman needs is another title. Heyman to be running around here with a fucking wagon full of all the titles that Roman can't carry himself. Yeah, it's got to be Gunther here. They've been beating up on Matt Riddle since he's come back. I think Riddle is actually a name opponent that has a small amount of cachet, nothing too crazy. It's another chance for Gunther to build on his legacy as the IC champion.
See, unprofessional.
Now that's unprofessional.
But I turned it off because I was chewing the seeds. I don't need people hearing me spit. Up next, we have the Bloodline, which is Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy and Jay, the Usos. I will go first here.
You think that's the match order? Women's tag, Intercontinental.
What the fuck? I'm at home at 3 o'clock. Oh, Bloodline versus the Usos? Sweet.
Rumor has it that they are rehearsing the ending of this match at an off-site secret location.
For what?
Because The Rock and Rikishi are coming down.
Ooh.
But isn't it only the brothers and Solo that they've seen at that secret location?
Yeah, Roman don't rehearse.
Yeah, and Heyman.
Right. I'm going to take...
Heyman's taking the place of Reigns.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll play Roman Reigns.
I love you, your tribal chief. Thank you, your tribal chief.
I think I'm taking the Usos because I think something happens in between Solo Sikoa and Roman, and I think we are getting that fatal four-way at SummerSlam. I'm taking the Usos.
Wow. I'm not going to go that far, but I will piggyback on the pick on this one. I think it kind of seems like this is Roman's slow decline, where if and when Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns meet again for next year's WrestleMania, the line of Cody saying that, you'll be a tribal chief without a tribe, all that good shit. By the time they meet that time next year, all that'll come to pass. Roman will have something on Cody too, but neither here nor there. I'm taking the Usos. It just kind of makes too much sense not to. Roman and Solo feel like they're going to be bumpy for the rest of the way until Solo decides he's going to break out from Roman as well.
Zach, who you taking?
They've done everything so slow so far that I can't see them doing this turn and then automatically giving the Usos like the first win here. I think they run this one back. I think this time Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa win, and we're going to get a rematch a little bit down the road, maybe to pop a SmackDown rating.
Thank you for mixing it up. It was getting pretty stale there. So let's jump ahead to the women's Money in the Bank match. We have Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bailey, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus. Zach, I'm going to let you go first from least to most. Who you got?
Least is Zelina Vega. After that is, I'm going to say Bailey, even though she'd be really good with it. I just don't feel like they're going to put her in that place. After that, Zoe Stark. Then Trish Stratus. Then Becky. And then I'm going to go with Io Sky winning.
Jason, who you got?
Least to most, let's go. Unfortunately, I'll agree with Tubier on this one. Zelina Vega as my least likely. Let's go. I'll piggyback on Bailey as the next least likely. Let's flip the spots of Trish Stratus. I'll go Trish Stratus next. Zoe Stark after that. I'm down to Io and Becky. I'm going Io next, and I'm going Becky as the one to win. I don't want Becky to win. I just think they've kind of teased it enough to where now I was Io Sky, but just not the way I was hardline with other people. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I want Io Sky to win, but I think Bailey costs Io Sky ultimately, and that's how they start their rivalry, and that leads Becky to chase down Rhea Ripley. You saw it in the back. I'm going with Bailey, or I'm sorry, going with Becky Lynch as my winner.
This is really going to separate the points coming into this because you guys are thinking almost the exact opposite of as I am. Okay, so I have Zoe Stark in last.
Fair.
Even if she has the chance to win, she's just there to try to get Trish to win it.
Fair.
I have Trish second to last.
Fair.
Can't see Trish walking around with the money in the bank. She's too big for it.
Right.
I got Bailey third to last because I don't think they'd have Bailey win it if it's between Bailey and Io. If somebody from Damage Control is going to win it, it's going to be Io, and then Bailey
should be Io,
and then Bailey will get jealous of Io
for sure.
But I have Becky Lynch fourth. So third from the most top, I have Becky Lynch. And just because I also think she's too big for it, I got Io Sky second, most likely to win, and I have Zelina Vega as the most likely to win. I am taking Zelina Vega. I think that she showed some stuff in Puerto Rico, and I think they believe in her. She's been getting a lot of pop lately. LWO or a thing. I'm taking Zelina Vega. I think they do a rematch between her and Rhea Ripley because she had that moment in Puerto Rico with Rhea Ripley where they gave her a bunch of hope spots. I think she goes out there and cashes in on Rhea Ripley.
Successfully?
Oh, yeah. I would love it.
Wow. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I'll tell you what, that's gonna be a big point differential. So, we have Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the title. I am going to go first here. I'm going to be crazy, and I'm going to take Finn Balor because I think there's a chance that Damian Priest could win Money in the Bank, and Damian Priest running around with the briefcase while Finn Balor is the champ would be a really fun dynamic and something I don't know if we've ever seen. So I'm going to take Finn Balor. Jason, who you got?
I'm not even going to overthink this too much. It's been a nice little ride. I appreciate the fact that Finn has kind of gotten his a little get back after the chance of having a verbal promo that was kind of hijacked, in my opinion. From that point, he's gotten Seth on multiple occasions. Didn't get Seth on Monday night. They've at least done enough to where Finn Balor feels like he is a credible, legitimate threat to Seth Rollins. I just can't pick against Seth Rollins right now.
Zach, who do you have?
I love the pick Finn. That's something that I kind of want to do, but I'm still not gonna. I got Seth. All
right. And next up, we have Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. I'm gonna guess that this is the curtain jerker. I guess it could.
It's gonna be the hottest match. The hottest the crowd is the whole night.
I think it would just totally rule as a curtain jerker.
I agree.
Jason, go ahead.
So everybody knows that I am a big fan of the notorious DOM. I think he has been amazing on this heel run. Him being in, getting locked up, talking about he wouldn't last in jail, I think is one of his my favorite moments of him on this heel run. Cody Rhodes is an interesting opponent. Cody Rhodes, on paper, looks like he should win. But moving on the horizon is SummerSlam. And that means Brock Lesnar. And that means Brock and Cody will have to tangle at some point. I'm calling it now. Brock gets involved, setting up the notorious DOM to get the upset victory over one Cody Rhodes. I got Dominic Mysterio to win.
Zach, who you got?
I got Cody Rhodes. I just feel like he's still the logical number one contender for Reigns, and a lot doesn't hurt Dom at all. And let's go with Cody.
Yeah, I'm going with Cody. Dominic can totally lose this. I don't think that they're going to have Cody he's only lost twice. Once was to Roman Reigns and once was to Brock Lesnar, where they set him up with a huge injury angle. I can't see them having lose. If he is going to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, I can't see them having him lose the pay-per-view before SummerSlam.
God, I'm so rooting for Dom now. I mean, more than before. It's 1 point, but I want this 1 point bad as hell.
And then finally, we have the men's Money in the Bank. So we're going to go least the most here. We have Ricochet, Nakamura, LA Knight. Yeah. Santos Escobar, Butch, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul. I am going to go first here. I have Butch as the least likely to win. I hope that he has a good showing, and I hope that they get behind him at some point. But
he's coming home. So he'll be just fine.
And I got Ricochet next because Ricochet there to win. Ricochet is there to flip. I got Shinsuke Nakamura third from the bottom because I just think he's too old for it. I got Santos Escobar next. That would be a fun little story. I don't see it happening. I kind of went between 2 and 3 here. I crossed it out and then put it back. I have Damian Priest as third most likely to win. Like I said, I think it would be a fun story, but I would be dumb to bet against the smart money, and the smart money is either Logan Paul or LA Knight. I have Logan Paul second most likely to win. Him with the Money in the Bank, holding the Money in the Bank briefcase on a SummerSlam poster is definitely something that they want to have. But I'm going to stick with who I was thinking even before Logan Paul was into it. I think strike while the iron is hot. The argument for LA Knight winning it is that Logan Paul doesn't need it, and this would be a perfect time for LA Knight to have it. So I have LA Knight most likely. Jason.
The crazy part about it is, as I was listening to your picks, I'm sitting there like, yeah. And then when you got to the top 3, I was like, oh, this is where we might be a little different. And the crazy part about it is we are not. I have the exact same picks. Butch is great because he's coming over to.
You have the exact same picks the whole way through?
Butch is great coming home, but he's not going to win. Ricochet next. You know why Ricochet's in it. You know why Nakamura's in it. Okay, let's get those jokers out of the way. Santos is probably the wild card of the bunch. I can see Santos winning before I can see Zelina winning, but that's just me. Priest at this point has felt like he's been built up to where he could have it, but I don't think he really needs it. So then you're down to the last 2, Logan Paul, LA Knight, and I said it last week, I wasn't going to waver. I ain't wavering now. Logan Paul 2, LA Knight 1.
That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Who you got, Zach?
A little different, changing it up. I'm going to put Ricochet dead last. The only reason he's in here is to do flippy stuff, and that's it. I'll put Butch still towards the bottom, but he's still more likely than Ricochet. After that, Santos Escobar just ain't going to happen. I'll put Nakamura above him just because Nakamura is like an actual superstar, and that's still more likely than any of the 3 below. Then I'll go Damian Priest, even though I think that would be my favorite of the bunch. And I'm going to differentiate from you guys here. I would really love to see LA Knight over Logan Paul, but I just think in my head, I just think of them wanting the headlines and them wanting. He doesn't need it, but that has never stopped them before from giving it to somebody who doesn't need it. I think they're going to give it to Logan Paul. Yeah, exactly.
Edge is gonna show up at the very he's gonna be like the last entrance.
What the fuck?
He's gonna be like, oh, we have Adam Pearce is gonna come out. We have one more on this day.
It's official.
Say, what the fuck? The rated R superstar.
God damn it! Fucking Vince.
All right, that's fun. That is fun because there are going to be some point swings next week on episode 315 of the Band from Ringside podcast. Make sure you tune in wherever you find your podcasts. That's gonna do it for our 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
So, Zach didn't watch anything else, but that doesn't mean he still can't talk about it. So let's just go to.
I am gonna duck out though because we're gonna bounce to the water. So thank you for having me.
We might get out there like 11:30 midnight or something. Like we don't know.
So everybody cleaned up. They just got done with the dishes and the dinner and all that, and yeah.
Women are doing dishes. You're podcasting.
All right, Sasha.
Damn.
Be safe, dog.
July 4, baby. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
See
All right,
ya.
man. Be safe.
Bye.
This is Band from Ringside.
Okay, so he's gone. So we can talk about whatever the fuck we want to. Let's talk about those fucking NBA trades, right, dude?
Jesus Christ. No, anything hasn't happened yet.
All right, so we already made fun of Sting.
James
Sting.
Harden's dumbass.
Sting, I hope you're okay out there.
Dude.
What'd you think about Moxley versus Ishii?
It was a great curtain jerker. Obviously, when I see Moxley, I'm like, okay, Eddie Kingston needs to be out here. BCC came out with Moxley, obviously, and the fact that Claudio and Moxley were just like, laser eye pointing at each other, just staring holes at each other. I thought that was a nice little, side angle from the actual match itself. I mean, Ishii and Moxley can just go. The last time they went at each other was the G1. They talked about that, and I kind of remember that. That was a really good match. This was just as good. The sidebar to the whole thing, obviously, is, Kingston and Moxley. We got a little bit into that, but the physical match itself, I got to give me an Ishii t-shirt, man.
King Hipposton.
He got the tape over his belly button.
Let that man live, dog. I was about to say, he come back from inheritance.
He's all right. Yeah, I'm glad he's having fun. He's mega over. There's no doubt about it. He's so over with the live crowd, at least with the Canadian live crowd. He's crazy over.
No, I think he's live. He's over with the American crowd. I guess here's my question. Why? Okay, so obviously Renee was like, hey, Eddie, you got to fix this. What does he have to fix? Why is it all of a sudden now we're playing back into...
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I don't want to see Renee Paquette become a part of Jon Moxley's storyline.
I agree totally.
It's okay to acknowledge that they're married.
Yes.
But everything that she does on screen should be as a backstage reporter.
Yeah.
Fucking Mean Gene,
Yep.
She should not be a part of storyline.
No.
So I hope they steer away from that.
Don't get me wrong. It adds to it, but I don't even think it needs that. You could just keep her...
That's exactly right. It doesn't need it.
Off to the side and just let Moxley and then Kingston, figure it out amongst themselves. And that means Kingston flips heel or he goes after the Bucks or he's still on Claudio. I don't know. But I agree with you. Renee has no reason to be into that. And I was actually, now that you say that, when she kind of got in the middle, I was waiting for Eddie to be like, taking a swing at Moxley to actually, accidentally hit Renee and to set some other shit off. I'm like, how you going to get in the middle of these two jokers? You better sit back and be cool. Shit, where's your microphone, crazy bitch?
Your champion, MJF, is going on one of his little comedy retreats with Adam Cole, baby. He's probably wrestled 3 times in the last 2 months, so it is time to give him a break for a few weeks and they can do skits. Your world heavyweight champion doing skits, but yeah,
my world heavyweight champion beats Jungle Boy in 10 minutes and some seconds, but that's neither here nor there.
No, that's some shit. What do you think about MJF and Adam Cole, baby, being strange bedfellows or whatever?
Well, and Vice and I talked about this earlier, either today or last night. It was conversations that started last night and kind of filtered over into today. if Adam Cole was already heel and MJF were heel and then they did this, I would be much more excited, more, this makes more sense. This just feels like, at least for me, it ain't an indictment on the tag team division because we're doing this makeshift battle bowl or whatever you want to call it to where the next team, whoever wins this, I'm sure gets a chance at FTR. But for me, Adam Cole shouldn't want to hang out with MJF. You know what I'm saying? Does it make for strange, interesting bedfellows? Yes, of course. However, when MJF is rolling, hey, let's go with, leave your boy Roddy and come in to, ride with me, Adam Cole should just be like, no, motherfucker. But don't get me wrong. All the one-liners from MJF, great. Generic white boy when he called...
Perfect.
Dude, I laughed my ass off when he called Roddy Strong. I was like, God damn, that shit's funny.
I'm just kidding. You're great.
Yeah.
Jack.
Roddy Strong actually looked kind of busted up about it.
No, he looked like, what you call me?
No, he looked like, fuck, yeah, he's right.
Whatever.
Got me.
It feels just off. I'd rather just them point to the fact that Adam Cole almost beat MJF versus this just feels like we're extending the feud, and this is just the way we've extended it. If we hadn't seen it before, I would probably wouldn't have a problem with it. But Sammy Guevara, we done this. Chris Jericho, we done this. Now here's Adam Cole. Same concept, same angle. I'm just looking for originality at this point, I guess.
I don't know what you're showing. I don't know what you're showing me. Go get on, Mike.
When MJF said it's bad enough they want me to wrestle every week, there's no way I'm staying here for a whole wrestling show. Get in the car, let's get out of here. I lost that.
Yes.
Dude, I was like, okay, that's my boy. But Adam Cole should have never went. Like, nah, go ahead, man. I'll catch you next week. Something like that.
Coming up next, we had a match between Matt Menard, what's his name?
Angelo Parker.
And who else was in this match? On the JAS team.
Oh, Garcia.
And then Tony Khan wrote every single wrestler in the promotion's name on a little ping pong ball. And then he put all the ping pong balls into one of those big things like at the bingo hall, that they turn around. It's got all the bingo ball, ping pong balls rolling around in there. Ping pong bingo. Anyway. And then he put everybody in there, and he pulled out Orange Cassidy, and he just pulled it around again, and he was like, El Hijo de Vikingo. He's like, well, that's kind of weird. That's fun. And then he did it again, and it was Keith Lee. In what has to be the strangest three wrestlers to ever wrestle a tag team together. He had Orange Cassidy, Vikingo, and Keith Lee versus the Jericho Appreciation Society. What you think about this, Jason?
None of it makes sense. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. Keith Lee, God bless him. He's just been a disappointment since coming over to AEW for multiple reasons. Vikingo is great. Always like to see him on TV. Entertaining AF. And obviously you still got Orange Cassidy, who's going to beat him. At this point, it felt like filler versus anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to let's hold that point because we talk about NXT. I want to make a point about what I saw in AEW versus what I saw in NXT.
This is like one of those things that I think of, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or something, and I type it into my notes. But Tony Khan has $1 billion and a ton of blow. So he does it, and then he gets to enact it. Why would he think that these three guys make sense together as a trios team?
No, there's no connective tissue. There's no animosity, really, versus with those three guys against the JAS. It's filler. Nothing more.
Really strange. Elite versus Dark Order have a backstage segment. Dark Order's like, you haven't talked to us in a couple months,
Dude, okay, hang on. So the Dark Order is mad because Adam Page went back to the Elite. So who's the babyface? Who's the heel, if there are any?
No idea.
Well, I mean, they're trying to make it the Dark Order's heels, but, I mean, he just ghosted them, man. I appreciate that they actually went back to it and made it a match on a Wednesday night instead of just completely forgetting about it. I appreciate that they at least kind of told a story was something that happened months ago that everybody had forgotten about. But when it happens, you're like, oh, yeah, John Silver should be pissed off at him. So I appreciated that. The match was kind of fun, too.
No, I appreciated the match, especially where you had Hangman trying to, his crisis of conscience, for lack of a better term. You got Nick and Matt like, come on, man, come on, let's do this shit. And, he's on the outside, like, you can see, like, all the fun times him and Dark Order had. It's that little slow menage of memories in his head. You could see him playing that out. My only problem is, I guess this is just me looking at it as someone that just feels a certain way about things. If you don't like me, so be it. You could go on to the other side. If I'm the Dark Order, you want to go out and go back to hang with the Elite, by all means, knock yourself out. I'm not going to be butthurt about that. I damn sure don't want to fight you. That's why they don't feel like baby faces.
Yeah, but wrestlers are not kayfabe style. They're not emotionally complex.
Fair enough.
So coming up,
you got me, boss.
So after the Elite versus Dark Order match, Blackpool Combat Club comes in, beats everybody up, challenges them to blood and guts. I'm curious to see who the fifth guy will be on Blackpool Combat Club if Dana Bryanson can't go.
My guess is it's going to be 4-4. You just have who you have for Blackpool Combat Club, and then Eddie Kingston would probably have to be there for Kenny Omega to kind of make it. It's either Kenny or Eddie with the Bucks and Paige versus BCC. I just don't think there's a fifth guy that can. Well, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, you can throw anybody in there. I mean, Tony Khan can just, like you said, he's got this fucking bingo hall of balls in there. He can add anybody he wants to the BCC. I just think for this scenario, 4-on-4 makes the most sense. If you want to give Kenny a break after Forbidden Door, you add Eddie Kingston in, so that way you still have the Eddie, John Moxley.
It's still not until the 19th, which is 3 weeks away. So July 19th. So I mean, he's got some time to recover.
But then if you're getting a fifth guy on the Elite side, you need a fifth guy on the Blackpool Combat Club side. As far as I'm concerned right now, that fifth guy has a broken arm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they could work at somebody in there, but yeah, you're right. I mean,
I just think at 4-on-4 just makes the most sense, unless the fifth guy is the second person from Don Callis' family, quote unquote, that he keeps talking about that is on the way. That's the only other thing I could possibly think about. Outside of that, 4-on-4 makes the most sense. If you want to go 5-on-5, now you got the Ibushi rumor going around. I'm not going to try to get into that because in that scenario, it just feels like it makes sense. But Kenny Omega then has to be in this match for it to make sense. If Kenny's not in this match, why would
I miss Ibushi?
Oh, I do too.
Beautiful bone structure, just absolutely amazing. Fucking
washboard abs.
Horny Thursday.
Horny Thursday, right?
Where's Steve Patterson at? He should be walking in here in like 30 seconds.
Got a bunch of horny dudes on the BFR squad, man. Jinder Mahal's no fucking asexual either, man.
Let that man live, dog. He's living his best first few weeks of his 40s, man. Let him do his thing.
What you think about Jungle Boy's heel promo?
The funny part about that is I never tripped off of the jacket that Jungle Boy was wearing until I watched Twitter, until I looked on Twitter this morning, and they showed Luke Perry and Jack Perry, and they had the same jacket. I was like, oh, shit. That's amazing. I love that. It's those little things that...
Anna Jay is way hotter than Brenda Walsh, bro. Way hotter than Shannon Doherty.
Stevie Wonder can see that, and Helen Keller can hear it. I like...
Jenny Garth.
Even hotter than Jenny Garth. Hotter than Jenny Garth.
Now we're having a conversation.
We can have a conversation, but still higher than Jenny Garth.
Jenny Garth was the beginning of a lot of things for me as a young man.
I used to clip words out of magazines and send her letters.
Tales from the Strange Side.
I had a guess magazine, a guess ad from a magazine that I tore out and put a tack on my wall. Right where I could see it.
Hey.
Trust me.
No. Kelly was hot.
In half.
Hey. Kelly was hot. No question about it. The promo I thought was good.
Horny Thursday.
Yeah, right. It did what I thought it was supposed to do, and the fact that he came out, he blamed the fans. Check. The FTW title was the one thing that I didn't think that would come up, but he made it make sense. He was like, this title doesn't mean anything. It has no meaning in AEW, but it means something to Taz, and it means something to Hook.
I can't believe
and
nobody
now,
ever said that before. It's such a bullshit. It's not a belt.
Right, and that's where I was just like, boom. The fact that Jungle Boy doesn't like to do promos and came out and cut that's a good start. Now we're talking somewhere. If you can maybe figure out a way to keep him not always talking, but talk, every couple weeks to where you can build this fucking story to go up, that was good. It was way better than I anticipated because I was like, he's coming out. Oh, man.
You know how when you go to, like, WWE Live, they sell those replica belts, and dads will buy their kids these replica belts, and the kid will walk around. Bo knows exactly where I'm going. And the kid will walk around with the belt. So Taz did that for his kid. He just bought him a belt. He goes, here's a belt. Except Hook actually defends it for some reason on television. That's why he's the luckiest little boy in the whole wide world.
You ain't shit. Holy shit. Wow. That just happened. Honestly, I think if they play this right, both guys can come out winners. Hook gets the kid gloves off, and that's kind of like what a lot of people kind of want to see Hook unleashed, quote unquote. Oh, Lord. He's going to choke on his sunflower seeds.
Man down.
J Bell's taking the rest of the pot over.
I was thinking about that getting back to Hook somehow. I was like, man, I hope I don't hurt his feelings.
Yeah, I was about to say, you going to call out Hook now, motherfucker? You going to add him to the list?
No, he's a child.
He's going through a lot right now. Puberty and everything.
Right?
He's got a lot on his head.
Jungle Boy, I think, is the guy that actually I think should take the FTW title off him so that way you get more heat on him. All the heat you can get on Jungle Boy, the better. This was a good start.
But if he faces him for the FTW title and Jungle Boy wins, can't Taz be like, well, it's not a real title? Like, Hook is still the winner.
Taz will be
what
like,
does it matter?
No, Taz will be all
on the
upset.
back.
It's not sanctioned by anybody.
Taz will be all upset. You could throw that motherfucker in the trash like Medusa did, throw it in the river like Stone Cold and The Rock did. It'll be perfect.
Okay.
Heat on Jungle Boy.
I thought the Jungle Boy's promo was pretty good.
Yeah, all things considered.
He seemed way more comfortable as a heel.
But the crazy part about it is he doesn't like to even talk on the microphone. He said 2 years ago.
He said
2 years ago he's scared of the microphone. That's crazy talk.
It took him a minute to get into it too. You could tell it took him a couple minutes.
Man, when he said that I'm with the hottest bitch in the company, and the crowd started chanting, "Yes, you are." I was like, oh my god, that's gotta feel pretty good.
Yeah, he took off his sunglasses I was like, that's my dog. Okay, now we're talking. That's a good heel turn.
Ruby Soho beats a jobber. John Morrison is Johnny TV. He came out with QT Marshall. They're fighting somebody on Friday. I don't care. And then Darby Allin and Sting versus Jericho and Sammy Guevara. We forgot to mention when we were making fun of this earlier that Sting won with the what do you call it?
Scorpion Deathlock?
Yeah, Scorpion Deathlock.
Okay, but that is a total afterthought of the stupidness of him jumping off that ladder. I'm sorry. When he was climbing up there, I'm like, oh, that's too far.
It was more realistic when Austin pinned Owen Hart after his neck was broken.
He's heating up.
That's okay. I'm like, dude, man, this motherfucker is done for the night. All right. Sorry, Darby, you're on your own. I mean, the match was just I'm sorry. I can't get past that. Once he went up that ladder, I'm like, dude, no way. No way. People holding the ladder is not enough. You need to have some sort of, not even spring, but just be stable to where you can push yourself off. The fact that one person One person was holding ladder on the back end. Well, we seen like 2 or 3 refs holding it on one end, the other end, bangle ladders. Everybody can get around. Let's hold this ladder. The fact that they did that was reckless. Reckless as fuck. And Sting is just as bad for that because he signed up for that shit and thought this was a good-ass idea.
Yeah, but
Wrong
at a certain point, you got to protect guys like that from themselves.
Okay. All I'm saying
That's
is
my
this
job.
spot,
That's what I do for a living, is I protect elder people from exploitation. And that's exactly what we're talking about with Sting.
all I'm saying is that spot, you can just rip that motherfucker out of the notebook list, go with something else.
I wouldn't be surprised if I opened up my new cases for the week on Monday and one was Steve Borden, 64.
Have him jump off the fucking top rope. Top turnbuckle off if you want to do something like that, do something that he's kind of used to versus him off
That's
the ladder.
not my
Go ahead.
job.
Just
My
move
job
it
is
closer. Just move the tables closer, for God's
man,
sake.
seriously.
They moved them so far back. They were like farther than their announcer's table.
When they moved it so far back, I thought that was going to be either Darby or Sammy jumping off that far. When Sting started to go up, I'm like, no, you bet not. You bet not. Oh, nope, he's doing it. Oh, he's not going to make it.
That's going to do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Did you watch NXT this week?
Yes, I said I would.
I believed you.
Okay,
I'm just
got the
making
notes,
sure.
baby.
Okay, what you think about Thea Hale versus Tiffany Stratton? You know that Thea Hale is 19 years old?
Crazy.
Crazy. She's pretty comfortable out there.
She is your next underdog babyface to come out of NXT. I'm not saying that she's going to win the title, but as she goes along, she'll garner fans on the way to the top. Then from that point, well, not on the way to the top, but when she graduates to the main roster, hopefully they keep that still storyline going and don't fuck that up. This was okay. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. It was somewhere in the gray. The fact that you had Dempsey and Drew Gulak come out for the distraction, not even the distraction, was a little wonky because it didn't help Thea. It ended up helping Tiffany because she was tapping out and then getting up the roll up for the win. But ultimately, Andre Chase coming back is the story. Crowd pops huge for that. I loved Andre Chase when he was in Evolve. So to see him in NXT in a fairly prominent role is good to see for him. And obviously, we'll see it. Go ahead.
What was his name in Evolve?
Harlem Bravado.
Harlem Bravado?
Harlem Bravado.
Harlem like the town?
Harlem like the town.
No shit. That's
story.
a really good name for him.
And he was just as cocky as he was when Andre Chase walked in the door at NXT.
What you think about Nathan Frazier versus Dragon Lee for the Heritage Cup?
Honestly, I was waiting for Norm Dar to come in and get involved, and obviously that never happened. I like the Heritage Cup. I wish I would have watched it when it was in NXT UK. I like the rules. It's pretty fast-paced. The first round was kind of a feel-out round, and from that point on, it was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's
so
fun.
I love the fact that it just kept it felt like you couldn't look away. You had that 1 minute or 30 seconds, whatever it is, in between rounds. I like the round stuff. Nathan Frazier going over is what it is. I'm okay with that. I like Dragon Lee. So for me to see him not win this is not the end of the world. Obviously, Axiom is on the on-deck circle. I think that match would be good, Axiom and Nathan Frazier. But this match, I like this match, and I like the Heritage Cup rules in effect.
And finally, what'd you think about Carmelo Hayes versus Baron Corbin for the title?
The Lone Wolf returns. That's why I like the NXT bringing back main roster guys and having them stay around for a little bit. Mustafa Ali is the one guy that's sticking in my head that he's going to have a match with Tyler Bate next week. He feels like he's going to stick around for a little bit and even win the North American Championship. That's definitely a possibility. I thought this match was good. Corbin can wrestle. The fact that I don't like his gimmicks is irrelevant. In the ring, he can go. The fact that some people rated this better than the Daniel Bryan and Okada match on Cage match, that's another story for another time. But I thought this was good. Right guy went over.
Come on, guys. People did that? Come on. What are we talking about?
Hey, I had to look for it, and then I saw it. I was like, oh, really? You're kidding me. I kind of want Baron Corbin to stay, but as a quote-unquote free agent, he can bounce around anywhere, so you can plug him into spots. Honestly, like I said, I would love for him to stay in NXT and be one of the top heels to always challenge for the title. I think he would be a great champion. I'm just not convinced he's a main roster champion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fun match. Did exactly what I thought it would do. I was not disappointed at all. I wasn't surprised at the ending. I would have been surprised if Baron would have won, but I would have been pleasantly surprised. I would have been like, this could be fun for a little while. You know?
The match felt like at certain points he could have won. And if he did, it wouldn't have been like, oh, shit.
It was not a foregone conclusion. There
was some little doubt.
It was very likely that Carmelo Hayes is going to retain, but it was not a foregone.
As the match progressed, I was like, oh, shit. Baron Corbin might have a chance of this motherfucker.
Well, them putting the belt on Ziggler just for like a month at one time, like that is enough to keep everybody honest.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
And then Braun Breaker has an angle where he charges out of the office. He goes, "You'll find out next week."
Why is Shawn Michaels trying to hold him down, man? He's done. He wants to go to the main roster.
I'm looking forward to see what it is. That's how easy it is to tell TV that people want to see. Give them a cliffhanger. I just want to find out what it is.
He basically said in the office, I beat everybody I can beat. He's not going to go for the North American Championship. He's a heel. Damn sure ain't going to get a tag team partner. I mean, what's left?
I want to see him spear HBK next week.
Dude, I bet they were fighting over catering. Seriously. I bet they were like, "You're going to see next week. It's the best barbecue ever."
Right? Call Heavy Smoke.
We're getting a waffle station.
Did Stax set up Tony D'Angelo?
I mean, I don't think so. I think it's funny that you asked me a question that sounds that stupid and that I'm answering sincerely. It's like,
hey, you the NXT guy. I'm watching this shit like, damn, dog, you got played.
Yeah, no, I don't think Stax would do that to Tony, to the Don. I think that Gallows.
But he did get involved in the tag team match.
Yeah, Gallows. Listen, he's getting played somehow. Stax is getting played somehow.
Okay.
That's going to do it for our... Oh, wait, no. That's it for odds and ends.
Yeah.
This is banned from ringside.
Big birthday week this week, and not just in numbers. I'm talking about personnel.
Okay.
We got quite the roster here. So it starts off with Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox is 37. Hope you're doing well out there.
She's 37.
That's what it said. That means she must have been like 22 when she first came around.
Holy shit.
But I'm trying to look it up right now.
Careful.
Cody Rhodes has a birthday this week. Cody Rhodes will be 38. Terry Funk.
Still alive.
Yes, 79 years old. Do you remember the fact that I tell every year when it's Terry Funk's birthday?
No.
In Roadhouse, where Sam Elliott is kicking Terry Funk out.
That's funny.
Terry Funk calls him Dad as he's kicking him out. And I just want to point out that those guys are the exact same age.
Great movie.
Scott Dawson is 39. Bret Hart is 66. Lil Nate, Charles Robinson. What a career. Younger than Bret Hart by 7 years. He is 59 years old.
Wow.
That means he was a young man, too, when he was Lil Nate. Sky 2 Hottie is 50. Speaking of Rikishi, Joey Janela is 34. Barry Windham is 63 with the exact same birthday on July 4th. Of the same year. Sid Vicious is also 63, and Adam Cole,
baby,
is 34. Still a young guy.
Still gonna be AEW champ.
Hey everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Tender Mahal, for Jason Case, who we mentioned, for Lucha Chris, for Murray the Murray Man Murray, for Patriot Pat, for Vice, for Three Beer Zach Pullman, for Jason Cornelius Bell. Jason, is there anybody that I missed?
Your wife, your daughter, and yourself.
Yeah, but I always thank them, but thank you to my wife. Thank you to my daughter.
Check.
I am Bill Vagey. Everybody, Black Lives Matter. Support your local weed dealers.
Double check.
Support your local restaurants. And never, ever forget to boo the heel.